Hi, it's Andy again, and this is another Android tutorial. Today we're going to be updating the meal spotting tutorial that I talked about in my last video. What we're going to do in this one is we're going to update the design, make it work with the RecyclerView, kind of dress it up and update how we handle a new meal. So basically what I've done is I'm going to run the app so you can see what it looks like now. So here it is, and I figured it'd be nice to actually have like a login for it, like this way we can make it more social. Every single time we upload the an item from our phone, like a new meal, the user was actually saved on there, but in the tutorial that Parse.com uses, they use an anonymous user. But having a login like this, we could actually split up the meals for your meals or your friends' meals or everybody's meals. It would be more social to kind of do it this way with an actual login, where you could actually view who submitted what. This isn't a full blow up, but this is a fully working supplement to the meal spotting tutorial that was posted by Parse, and it's updated. So we're just going to create a new account, and we'll just do a testing account. So we'll create this account. Password must be at least, oh. There we go. So now we've got our account created, and it's going to log us in automatically in the background. And right now I haven't loaded up any, there are no new meals, but I've created a fab icon in the bottom right hand corner. And when we add a meal, it's going to show up in a recycler view here. I also added a pull down to refresh so that we can actually refresh this view when we have when we add some new ones, or if you can check out everybody else who has added new ones. So when we click on the plus icon, we're going to get brought up to a new view for adding a new meal. This is basically an icon where if we had a camera attached to here, you'll see it'll just say there's no camera. But we can create a title here, so new meal. And we'll give it a 4-star rating. When we hit save, here's our new meal now. It doesn't do anything when you click on it, but it does highlight, and if we had a picture, it would load up here. I'm actually gonna run this app on my Nexus 6, and I'll show you what the icons will look like. I also included in here the favorites tab. Since there's only one meal, what it does is it filters out all the out of all the meals, everything that's a 4 or 5. So if I click this, there shouldn't be any change. And then I also have it where I can go back to just the all meals view. Alright, so what I wanted to go into is kind of where I got the idea of doing this. So what I do is I like to draw it out on paper. You can use whatever program you want to. But basically, I decided after I drew all this to actually have a login view. So that's why it's not on here. But what I did want was an image, the title of the meal, and the rating over here on the right. And I kind of just created a bunch of times with the floating action button on the bottom. I had this upside down, so that's why I drew all these lines on the bottom that don't make any sense. If we hit the floating action button, we go into another view where we can add a new meal. I have the little photo icon as you see, and this is a card view, as you can see down here, with the rating in a spinner and the title, which is an edit text. And when we push the camera button, we can take a picture of the meal that we are eating, and we wanted to launch the default camera app, since in the meal spotting tutorial that's loaded by Parse, it has a bunch of deprecated code for the camera. And this is a lot easier to implement than what they actually have, so it's actually a simpler solution. So we just handle, when this comes back to the app, we handle the file that's returned, and we save that up to the cloud. So this is basically the walkthrough of what I just showed you, what we completed. So let's go into the code. Alright, so here's our main activity. So basically we have an adapter, a RecyclerView, and a swipe to refresh layout. So one thing to note is that in the adapter, all meals adapter, there is a I found online a ParseRecyclerQueryAdapter. Let's see, it's from here. I'll add this Stack Overflow question in there, and this is how they implemented it. And I also added the swipe refresh layout into the design after actually reading this. So thank you, Jorge Casarejo, for including this on Stack Overflow. I was able to find it pretty easily. So this actually works with the RecyclerView, which is actually a good thing, because if we go into our main activity, we're using an app bar layout here, and if we were to use a list view with it, the first item would actually show up underneath the app bar, since it's not really compatible with the coordinator layout and the app bar layout. So we really did need to use a RecyclerView, which is actually in this new content main. So here's our swipe refresh layout and our RecyclerView layout. So going back into the main, I'm not really quite sure. I think there's a little bug with the new Android Studio 2.0. This obviously doesn't show up with the black area around the plus icon. It drove me crazy, and then I just ran the app and figured out that it's not actually there. So here's our RecyclerView, our app bar layout, which we are just going to have a toolbar in there, which we're just going to load up the name. And we're going to have our menu for here. That's going to have the star icon for our favorites, and inside the overflow it'll have all meals. You can actually put this as always, so it won't be an overflow anymore. I just don't really have an icon for all meals, so we'll just keep that as an overflow. Alright, so back to our main activity. What we do, we have our toolbar, then we initialize our RecyclerView, and then we need to start up our ParseQueryAdapter query factory, which has our meal, which the meal is no different from the tutorial from before. It's got our, you do have to make sure that you include the parse class name on here, or else it will not work. But basically all we record is a title, the user, a rating, and a photo. Okay, so what we want to pull down from Parse is we actually want to get all of our meals. And so this parse query is going to just pull down everything. And then we also want to sort it by the descending title. So it's going to be in alphabetical order. And we're going to return that query. So then in our adapter, which is we just created a new all meals adapter, which is this, which takes in a factory and has stable IDs, which is actually, we're going to set this to true because we have the meal which has all these IDs and stuff like that are the same. So we can set this to true as always. But basically this is your typical RecyclerView adapter, which has a view holder, bind view holder, or on create view holder, on bind view holder, and then here's our view holder class. And so each time I have a title, a rating, and a photo. You can also add the another text view for who uploaded it. That'd be actually a good idea as well. One thing to note is it's not sufficient to just set the photo as a parse file, like the file that you get. You also have to then tell the holder to load it in the background. So let's take, this is actually going to be linked in the description below, but here's the ParseRecyclerQueryAdapter. We just copy the code over and start a new class with that name. And then this actually extends the ParseRecyclerQueryAdapter, and it takes in there's two parameters here, the object and then the view holder. So it's important to actually put in the object here too. Alright, so the dispatch activity is actually the activity that gets launched by default, and if there's no parse user available, then we launch the parse login builder, and if there is, then we just launch the main activity. So every single time now that we launch the app, like if I hit home and I clear it from, so when we launch it again, it goes right back to the main activity. We don't have to log in every time. And then also, once the user does finish the login process, we want to launch the main activity. So that's why the onActivity results is inside of our dispatch activity. Okay, and then and our new meal activity. So this is this takes a little bit of code, but it's actually not that bad once you take a look at it. So we have our layout, which is a new meal activity. Let's pull that up so we can see it at the same time. So we actually have 3 items here. On the top, we have our image view, which is actually just going to be this little placeholder icon. We actually then have our parse image view, which is what is going to take up the whole blue area here. And then we have our toolbar, which actually sits at the top, but it has to be the last item inside of our collapsing toolbar layout. Then in here we have our to edit text, which will allow the user to put in the title. And I put that in a text input layout so we can make it a little bit material themed. And then also our spinner, which is just a generic spinner for the rating. And then our floating action button, which we just save the content. So in our new meal activity, we have our parse image view, our edit text, and our spinner. We also are putting in a photo intent request, or an int for this. So when we launch the camera, we want to keep track of that this activity did that, and that it was our request to do so. It doesn't really matter what number you put there. Okay, so then we're also going to use a bitmap to load the image into our app, but that's not actually what's going to get saved to Parse. Parse actually requires a byte array, so we have to convert the image that we receive into a byte array before we save it up to the cloud. And then our meal. So this is just going to be a new meal. Once we open up this activity, our meal just gets initialized so that it's a new meal from the start. So we just initialize our image view, our parse image view. We give it an on-click listener. Our intent is media store action image capture. Now, if there's no default camera application to handle the photo, this specific intent, we would throw an error if we didn't have this next line here. Intent to resolve activity, get package error. So we have to make sure that it's not null before we start our activity for result here. So this launches the camera app, and then when the user takes a picture and then selects OK, it's going to launch this on activity result. In here, we want to make sure that we're handling the request that we put in, and then that the result was okay. So that means that they've selected a photo. We need to get the bundles. The bundle, which is, we'll label it extras, and that's the intent, which is data, and we want to get the extras. Now the bitmap of the photo is located in extras, get, and then in a title of data. But we need to, like I said earlier, we need to actually convert this to a byte array. So our byte array is a little method here. We need to start a byte array output stream and compress our bitmap, which we're passing in into our bitmap to byte array. We're converting it to a JPEG with no compression, and we're going to load it into our stream. So then our byte array is streamed to byte array, and then this returns our byte array here. Now we need to set our parse file, which is our photo file. We're going to give it a title because it requires one for the cloud. This is going to be uploaded for every meal. It's going to be the same exact name. And then we need to upload the actual bytes, byte array for that photo. But now we need to save it in the background. So this is gonna make sure that there's no issues. Once it's saved, we're gonna set it to our meal. So meal set photo file, and then here's our parse file. So then, actually this is duplicated. Don't actually need to. Oh no, it's not. Sorry. So now we need to tell our parse image view to set the parse file and then to load it in the background. Now this is important because if you don't call load in background, it doesn't actually load the file. So that's it for that part of it. Then for the rest of it, when we hit the save icon, we want to save the title, which is just going to be the text from our edit text. Our author is going to be whoever's actually on using the phone, so we're just going to get the current user. The rating is going to be whatever the rating spinner says, which when we initialize it, we have this array adapter here. This array is just a simple array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's important that you keep it whatever you're going to use to filter out your favorites. So that's why I've left it for now as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can change it to something like I had mentioned in the first video, would be like 5 was excellent and 1 was terrible, or something like that. Then in so we're gonna get our rating, and then we're gonna save this in the background and make sure that there's no issue. So if there's no issue, we're just gonna call finish, which closes this activity, and goes back to the main activity. And if there is an issue, we're going to pull up a snack bar that says that there is an error saving. So if we go, once this call is finished, it's going to load up our main activity and actually call on resume. And we want to make sure that our adapter refreshes so that we get the new item. So we're just going to call in on resume madapter.load objects. So that's going to refresh. Okay, so now we need to do our two filters for favorites, and then to kind of get back to our all items. So for our favorites, we're going to have a new factory, query factory for us. We're going to start a new parse query, which is meal again. But we want to make sure where the rating is either a 5 or a 4. So that's going to be as an array, as a list, 5 or 4. So that's why you need to keep the array as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're going to change that to something else, make sure you add it here as well. And then we want to sort it by the rating. So we want our highest rated items at the top. And then we're going to need to initialize that as a new adapter, and then tell the RecyclerView to load the new adapter. And then likewise, this is just the same factory that's listed above, where we just grab all items and then sort it by the title. And then we start a new adapter with the same factory, and then we tell the RecyclerView to load it up again. So it's not a hard layout, not a hard app to build. It did take some time for me to kind of update all the UI elements to a material design-ish look. I'm going to be uploading this code, and you'll be able to pull it up from GitHub. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Oh, let me show you what it looks. I'm going to pause the video and load it up on my phone, and we'll take some pictures so you can see what the actual list is supposed to look like. So hang on one second. Okay, so I took a few pictures on my phone, and they're uploaded to the server now. So we can pull down to refresh, and now we get our image views now load up. So I took a few pictures. This is one thing you might want to do is set an on-click listener for this, so that it opens up another view where you can have the image large and then the title and everything on there, and kind of details about the item that you selected. Like a little detail view would be a good idea here for your on-click listener. Now that we have a few items on here, we can filter this out and make sure that just the water and our new meal show up. And that's exactly what happens, which is perfect. So we click this again, it goes back. So hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Sorry it took a few days to get it out, but enjoy.